Business partnerships. Are they worth it? Today we're going to talk about the pros and cons of hopping into bed with a business partner. What's going on, and welcome to another episode of The Hot Take. I am your host on BatchTV, Jesse Burrell, and this is where we talk everything business, real estate, and everything in between. Let's get into it. So today our guest is Ivo Draginov. I figured if we're going to talk business partnerships with pros and cons, should bring in my business partner. What is going on, brother?
Everything's awesome. Glad to be here.
So hot takes, obviously we're going to dive deep into business partnerships. Are they worth it? Are they not? Let's give the audience a quick bio of who Ivo Draginov is real quick.
Hey guys, my name is Ivo. I've been in real estate for the past 14 years. Been fixing and flipping houses. Have done about 200 fix and flips. Been wholesaling houses as well since 2015. I started wholesaling with my sister, Anny. She's also one of our business partners. In 2017, I met Jesse, and we started building some software companies. Currently, we have 5 different software companies. We also build multifamily units. We have about 100 units in the pipeline.
Absolutely. So I actually want to talk about a couple things on this hot take. The first thing I want to talk about is before you hop into a partnership, let's identify some of the pros and cons and if you're actually a fit for that business partner. So what are your thoughts on maybe some tips on what you should do first before entering a business partnership?
I was very hesitant in the beginning to any kind of partnerships. You know, from my history, my dad had some partnership that went south. So just naturally, I was just resistant to partnerships. I met you in 2017,
Sure did.
And we started in a way dating before we actually,
Partnered on everything.
Partnered on everything, basically, yeah.
So to sum up Ivo's confusion real quick, what we basically did was we had batch skip tracing. We started that together,
Yep.
but we had separate wholesale operations. We were just kind of doing that as a side hustle together, and it was really nice to just date and not have anything super serious, to where we were starting to feel out, because at that time I hadn't read a lot of books. So a great book, you guys, is called Rocket Fuel. It actually teaches you, if you're a visionary, you want to find an integrator. If you're an integrator, you want to find a visionary. If 2 visionaries are teaming up to partner together, you're normally not going to work because you guys have the same skill sets. For a great partnership, what you want to do is you want to find someone that is your yin to your yang, or your counterpart, not someone that's just like you. Those normally end in really, really bad failed business partnerships.
Absolutely. You want to find somebody with complementary skill sets to yours.
I know, and we're so lucky because Annie's not in here because she hates to be on camera, but we all have such different skill sets that we each have our buckets of what we really work on. So I want to talk about a little bit further is I think it's great to date. So that's my first tip is Don't go into a partnership. You could do some type of an agreement, some JV agreement for your first couple months. Let's say you want to be a real estate wholesaler and you want to partner with somebody. So what you could do is you could sign a 3-month agreement so a quarter, and you're basically just going to split marketing costs and see how you guys work together. And you could do that over and over again until you're sure if you want to be partners or not.
Absolutely. I mean, I think like what you said, whether it's 3 months or 6 months, I think that time period is going to give you a lot of feedback into like, hey, is this partner the right person for me? And do we actually have complementary like skill sets? You know, because if you don't like doing, let's say the books, and I don't like doing the books, then
who's going to do the books?
In this case, Annie, yeah.
For sure, but I really think it is identifying traits of someone. Just because you like someone and they're successful and you're successful, it doesn't mean it's going to turn into a successful partnership. And I knew pretty quickly with me and you on how different we were and how good we worked together. So once I knew, I was confident, but I mean, I would bring it up to you quite a bit and you kept brushing it off because like you just really didn't know like what was right and what wasn't right.
I didn't, and I think naturally like you like your personality like picks up on the other people's personalities a lot quicker than I do.
Yeah,
I just like trust everybody by default. And obviously you were able to identify that before I was able to identify it. But like the thing that you mentioned, like that it came from you as far as like, hey, if we do anything, we do everything together. I think that's like a key thing that makes the partnership work like long term. Like, I mean, it can obviously work for like short period of time.
Right.
But I think long term, I think that's a necessity, because like I have some personal friends that I'm seeing them going through the same struggles. Like one guy is basically like they partnered up together into like a business they do, like, you know, Verizon towers and stuff. And the guy's like just messaging me and say, hey, what do you think about this idea? I'm like thinking to go into the business with this other partner now for this other like these other business ideas. And I'm like, well, what's going to happen to your other like partnership?
Right.
And he's like, well, I'll just kind of automate it and just let it, you know, like.
You better make sure your other partner is aligned with you doing that. Also, if you're planning on quitting your 9-to-5 and going full-time into real estate, check out this video right up here. All right, now we're going to break down the pros and the cons so you can decide, is it worth it for you? So, Ivo, let's start talking about the pros. We obviously are very happy with our business relationship and how we've been able to grow it. So let's talk about some of the pros real quick of having a partnership.
Yeah, for sure. So the division of labor is one of those things. Obviously, you know, we can get done more when there's 2 or 3 people involved. You have your lane, I have my lane and my tasks and my to-dos, and so do you. And you know, those at the end of the day, we can get more done together.
So let's talk about the con of that. If you have 2 visionaries and then one person's stuck doing a role that they don't like, that's actually a huge con. So like, you have to make sure you have the right partnership to make sure that's going to be successful.
Another pro is you have more skills. You have more skill sets, basically bringing in the partnership.
Right.
You have more knowledge, more experience. So that's obviously, you know, you come from a different background than I do.
Right.
And combined, we just, you know, can double, triple our knowledge.
I want to talk about another con, and you need to make sure that you're aligned. Is, you know, I was going from, you know, by myself making really good money with what I was doing to having 2 more partners. So you have to be very aligned on where you're trying to be financially to where to make sure someone's not getting disappointed. That was one of my biggest weighing factors, was making sure is like, are we really going to take this to a level to where I could still, you know, grow my income and grow my rental portfolio and all these things? Because now I have to do it 3 times the amount. So are we collectively at least going to triple what we're doing together to what I was doing by myself? And my answer was hell yeah. But a lot of people don't think about that, to where that could be a huge con. Is if you bring someone on, now you're splitting the pie. If you're crushing it by yourself, a partner's not always the right thing. If you really have some strong high-level team members that are able to do, you know, some of those executive high-level roles for you, and you have those people in place, I don't think a partnership is the right thing unless you are certain that this other person is going to bring so much value that you can't not be their business partner.
Correct. And it has to be exponential value at the same time. At the end of the day, I mean, if you have the right partner and you have the right vision together, then you are going to have that exponential growth.
So let's talk about another pro. And I think that is when you have partners, celebrating wins together. So when I was doing it by myself, we would have this incredible month. Obviously, you're celebrating with, you know, your employees a little bit and your team, which is great. But having someone else right next to your side that really works off with the vision and all the things for you, it feels that much better doing it with someone else than doing it by yourself. It just, I've seen it, I've done it both ways. And having someone else next to you to really have that moral support and keep pushing each other is, I think that's one of the biggest pros for me, to really be able to lean on each other and have those wins together and those L's together. You don't have to burden that whole L by yourself either, to where I think it's actually one of the biggest pros and one of my favorite things about having a partnership. So the last con I want to talk about is, this is probably the biggest one in my opinion, is it's alignment and work ethic differences. We kind of touched on this earlier, but you need to make sure that if you are going to get into business with someone, that you guys are aligned and have similar work ethics. If you don't, this is probably going to be the biggest problem. I just had a couple friends they were dating, so thank God they didn't partner together, but they were not aligned on the work ethic, and it blew up in less than 6 months.
Yeah, so honestly, like I think that was one of the biggest like factors for me in the beginning, because at the end of the day, I didn't know you. You know, I met you. I mean, you know, for 3-4 months, I can only, you know, I've talked to you maybe like, you know, 10 times on the phone. I met you a bunch of times, but at the end of the day, it's hard to gauge somebody's work ethic on a more granular level, especially in the very beginning.
So an absolute amazing hot take, but let's answer the question of the day. Is a business partnership worth it? I'll start this one off. I think it really depends. I know a lot of successful people that don't have partners. They have high-level people around them. They're good at identifying talent, and they like to be on top and really not have someone to collaborate with. It works totally fine. For me, I think dividing and conquering and having great partners to where they're the yin to your yang, it could be absolutely amazing, and I think you could probably grow faster. Obviously, I'm biased to where we have a business partnership, and it's been very, very good for us, but I've had a bad business partnership too. So my conclusion is, if you're going to have a partner, make sure you do a lot of the tips and tricks that we said to make sure it's a fit, because that matters so much.
From my standpoint, I think the answer, naturally, you're going to say it depends, because obviously you have to be considerate of some of the cons and be able to work through some of the potential issues that could, could cause the partnership to go badly. But at the end of the day, like, my answer would be more of on the yes side, because obviously we have a successful partnership, and personally, I think that we all push each other. And even though like I'm very like motivated personally on an individual basis, I think that having other partners to be even accountable for that can actually say like, hey, like we need to do better like as a team, helps me be better individually. And I think from my perspective, it's just a faster growth rate having a partnership.
Yeah, absolutely. So my question to you, throw them in the comments. Is a business partnership worth it? And what are your experiences that you've had? Good, bad? Let me know. All right, Mr. Draginov, what is the best way if someone that watches this video wants to get a hold of you through social media?
The best way to get a hold of me is through Instagram, at Ivo Draginov is my handle.
That's pretty simple. So thank you so much for coming on today. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for watching another episode of The Hot Take. Make sure to smash that like button and subscribe to the channel. I hope today brought you a ton of value on business partnerships. Until next time, let's get it. Check out these other videos right here. Follow me on social media.